Hello, fellow humans. Chris here. So, today I'd like to talk about International Men's Day. So, before today, I actually did not even know that this day existed. I actually found out about it through a fellow YouTuber who I follow on Twitter, goes by the name of Abby, has a YouTube channel called Working Stiff USA, which is a great channel, by the way. Um, So she had a tweet basically acknowledging International Men's Day and acknowledging the fact that for the good dudes out there, they're good. Good there's good men out there and there's bad men out there. What caught my eye was the litany of tweets in reply from men basically scoffing at the idea of having a men's day. There was a lot of, what do we need a men's day for? This should go the way of Columbus Day and be about somebody who's oppressed. We get to rule the world the whole rest of the year. Why do we need a day? Stuff like that. One reply in particular, though, really caught my eye. And he said, "It should be International Praise Women for Bringing Men on the Earth Day, because without them, men wouldn't exist. The chauvinist, misogynist, macho nacho, and fascist males don't deserve a day to be praised." Okay. That series of replies might just be why we do need an International Men's Day. I found it kind of ironic that this group of people that are tend to be more leftist, I would say, who would be more about inclusion and tolerance in most other subjects, don't seem to feel that way when it comes to men. Now, are there bad men out there? Absolutely. However, I like to think, and this might just be my personal opinion, but I like to think, in my humble opinion, that the traits of manhood that I see, being a good leader or showing compassion, being a good father, if that is a applicable case, having responsibility, accountability, compassion, respect, support. These are traits that I see in being a man. Again, that's just my opinion. I distinguish the negative traits, domestic violence, rape, sexual assault, abuse, what have you. I don't consider those manly behaviors. Those are people who are biologically male. They're not men in my book. So I don't think that having a day of recognition for men qualifies those types of people, abusive people. That's not what we're talking about. Furthermore, because of the aggressiveness in some of these replies, I was kind of compelled to look into International Men's Day to actually see what it's about. It actually started in 2002 by a group called Dads for Kids Fatherhood Foundation. Okay, interesting title, right? So when you look into it more, a big part of what International Men's Day is about men being a good role model to children. Fatherhood. Doesn't have to be fatherhood, obviously, but that being kind of the key element here. The day after International Men's Day is called International Children's Day. This is from the International Men's Day website. They say that there's a 48-hour period where you are celebrating men and the children that they help role model to and the special bond between them. They also make clear that this is not to the exclusion of women. This is about a harmony, a cohesiveness within the collective. And ultimately, it's about creating a better, more compassionate society for everybody, where everybody has a fair shot at happiness and success. So, all that being held into account, I would say it's a pretty good thing. Aside from that, they go into statistics. So every year, they have a different theme. This year's theme is better health for men and boys. So when I first went to the site, they have a video right there basically discussing Men's Day 2020. And the video goes through a series of statistics. And I'm going to just read a couple of the ones that really stood out to me. Globally, men die 6 years younger than women. 3 of 4 suicides are men. 95% of people who die at work are men. Men are twice as likely to suffer from heart disease and or lung cancer. 1 in 3 men have been the victim of domestic violence. That one surprised me. I'm not going to lie. And I looked into that one more, and it looks like that's generally right. They kind of quantify it in different elements, sometimes with a romantic partner, sometimes with a former romantic partner, sometimes with just a cohabitant, sometimes with a family member. And it's varying degrees of the statistics, but it generally hovers around that 1 in 3. So it seems fairly reliable. And while I thought that seemed extremely high, higher than I would expect, I also take into account that probably a lot of those cases are not reported and perhaps not as severe as is often the case when it happens to women. So I think that there's a lot going on here. But I think a big part of what the day is about bringing awareness and recognition to men's health issues, as we have Movember, which is No Shave November. You're supposed to grow a mustache, which obviously I'm not doing. I do not look good in a mustache, by the way. But that's sort of designed to bring attention to men's health issues as well. But it goes beyond that. It also gets into mental health issues. This is also a personal subject for me. A big part of mental illness is the stigma with mental illness or mental health in general. So men are, in a large part, conditioned to not talk about that sort of thing. And that would kind of help explain why the numbers seem a little bit high. And they may actually be higher than the stats show. What I'm coming around to here is that it caught me a little off guard and concerned me a little bit with how quickly people, again, I follow a lot of leftist type people on Twitter. I'm just putting that out there. A lot of these people really jumped on what the hell do we need a Men's Day for? And based on what they were saying, I was fairly confident they hadn't looked into what the day was actually about. And that kind of troubles me, because as anyone that's been watching the channel knows, I'm kind of big on learning about what something is and forming an informed opinion. And so when it comes from people who I like to think are more tolerant and inclusive, it kind of concerns me. And as I said, I think it contributes to the idea, the concept of why a Men's Day is needed in the first place, because the reaction is like that. And at the heart of it is this idea that there are things that we don't talk about as men. And it's kind of bringing that to light. And one thing that I know, my therapist has told me, is you have to take care of yourself if you're going to take care of other people. You know, And I don't know that as men, we're in a position to be the best versions of ourselves if we need help. And we're conditioned in a society that we're not supposed to get it, or that we're just pieces of shit that don't deserve any recognition. That's kind of the feel that I got from a lot of these replies. Very vilifying of men. Again, I'd go back to the point that the things that make a man are those qualities of responsibility, respect, compassion, being a good father or a good mentor to children. The domestic violence, the rape, the horrible things that you hear are not what makes a biologically male person a man. Because as leftists, if we jump to an indictment of the entire species, if that's what you want to call it, of men under one umbrella, one broad sweeping stroke, how is that different from doing it with anyone else? Police, black people, whoever the group may be. We're trying to tell a story that you can't judge an entire group by the actions of a few. It seems like that we're selectively choosing to do that with men. And I think that's part of the inherent problem. It comes from both sides. The traditional conservative view on it is keep your feelings to yourself. We're men, we don't show weakness. And then the other extreme of it is men are horrible, misogynistic pieces of shit who, came from that era of don't ever show emotion and don't show weakness. They're both kind of extreme ends. It's almost as if one is a reaction to the other. They're both not really good, I don't think. So that was kind of what I was thinking about today. Ultimately, the big takeaway that I got from the website, really more than anything, was being a role model to kids, and bringing women into the equation as well. There was actually a quote from Gandhi, one of the famous quotes about being the change you want to see in the world. And the idea being recognizing the positive aspects of men as it pertains to the role models that we are for children. I think that's pretty important. And I think that we need to be careful about what we scoff at. I've said before that I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I'm proud of it. It's a lot of work, and my being a dad has really been the quintessential element to my considering myself a man. My manhood is really centered on being a father. That's not to say that people that aren't dads aren't men, of course. But this day was founded by the Dads for Kids Fatherhood Foundation. It's very centered on the kind of role models that we are for kids, with the idea of creating a better society for everybody in the long run. Which I'd like to think we're all for that. And then the health, obviously. And it all ties together because, again, you have to take care of yourself if you're going to take care of others. My therapist said you can't serve from an empty boat. That's true. So it was just a thought. It was just something I was thinking about. I really appreciated Abby for bringing it to my attention through that tweet, because I had no idea that Men's Day existed, and didn't initially intend to do any talks about it, but it was the response to it that kind of concerned me. Again, if you read the website, it's really not about praising men per se. It's not about like celebrating like the stereotype of men. It's actually the opposite. And the ironic thing is that the generations that we're in now, and perhaps even Gen Z underneath, we're kind of the antithesis to that. And we just have to be careful about not falling too far to the other side, the other extreme. I think that if you're gonna beat anything horrible, domestic violence, suicide, assault, sexual assault, rape, if you're gonna defeat these and overcome them, you have to ally yourself with the ones that are the antithesis to that. And yeah, you kind of have to celebrate that. That's not to say that we should be lowering the bar for what's acceptable behavior. I think we need to raise the bar, and to do that, we have to acknowledge the ones that are kind of on the right side, and kind of go from there. But you can't fix a problem that you ignore. So I don't know that eliminating an International Men's Day would quite send the message that we would be hoping for. So anyway, that was just something I was thinking about. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you again really soon. Thanks a lot. And remember, don't be afraid to question the consensus.